Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and Apple's event took place just 12 hours ago introducing the new iPhone 17 models. Their awe-dropping event introduced 4 models with the iPhone 17, the iPhone Air, iPhone 17 Pro, and 17 Pro Max. And while they covered quite a few things in detail, they left out about 17 different things I wanted to share with you. So let's go over those as far as the details they left out over the event. The first thing has to do with the base iPhone 17. The base iPhone 17 replacing this iPhone 16 will feature 8 GB of RAM. It doesn't get an upgrade like the other models. Even the iPhone Air gets 12 gigs of RAM. So they didn't really mention that. It does get the A19 chipset, but doesn't get upgraded RAM as far as that goes. With the iPhone Air, there's quite a few compromises there, and it was very close to some of the dummy units we actually saw. And one of the things that's a bit surprising is it only has one speaker. At the top here, where the earpiece is, typically on your iPhone, there's a speaker, and it's only utilizing that as the speaker. I thought maybe they would vibrate some sound through the glass, maybe giving you sound like that. However, the 2 speakers, what we thought were speakers on the bottom, turn out to be microphones. There's also no mic array or 4-mic array like we have on the iPhone 16 Pro lineup. So it looks like we're only going to have some microphones at the bottom with a mono speaker at the top. We'll have to try it out and see what it's like, but the S25 Edge from Samsung actually has stereo speakers, so maybe they have a different solution for this. The iPhone Air is also only able to charge at 20 watts via MagSafe. Now you can charge via the USB-C port on the bottom, but on the back, if you have something such as maybe this Belkin Qi 2 or 2.2 wireless charger that can charge at 25 watts, on the iPhone Air, it will only charge at 20 watts, probably due to thermal limitations. So that's something that's a little bit new. Now this time around, we get Apple's new C1X modem in the iPhone Air, but no millimeter wave. So that's not available in the Air model. It's available in the Pro and Pro Max and the base model, but probably due to limitations of space, we don't have the option for that modem, or at least the antenna for that modem. One other thing to know is that just like the iPhone 16, the iPhone 17 and the 17 Air have slower USB-C ports at USB 2.0. Why they've done this? It's only 480 megabits per second, not the 10 gigabits per second we get with the Pro models. We're not really sure, but that's something they've done with the 17 and 17 Air. Also on the iPhone Air, they've moved the USB-C port slightly to one direction. This is probably again due to the overall size of it. They had to offset it so it's not perfectly centered, but it's just something to note. Now the camera definitely has some compromises. We only have one lens on the iPhone Air, and that's typically going to limit a few different features just because you don't have an ultra-wide camera. So we don't get macro photography or macro video, we don't get spatial photos or video, ProRAW, cinematic mode, or ProRes video. So the iPhone Air is limited there, and the iPhone Air could have been a last-minute name change as some of the code still resides, referencing something called the iPhone 17 Air. So maybe they changed it last minute. We don't really know, but that's something that seems to be apparent, at least based off of the code. When it comes to the iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max, there's a 2 terabyte option that Apple talked about. It's listed on the website, and it comes in at a huge $2,000 or $1,999. Now, personally, I don't think many people will choose this option, as you could just use an external drive and SSD, as most people that will probably use 2 terabytes would be using something such as ProRes RAW video and need a ton of storage. So it makes more sense to just plug in via USB-C, get those high transfer rates, and use an SSD. So that makes way more sense, but some people will still opt for that. Maybe you'll have a huge photo collection or something else. Also, another thing to note is the millimeter wave antenna on the new model, the iPhone 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max, is not on the sides, but is rather on the top. Now this will help with direct line of sight, maybe to millimeter wave antennas, and definitely helps when you're holding it as it would be at the top of the phone. I don't have millimeter wave in my area, again, like I mentioned with the iPhone Air, so it doesn't matter much with my carrier, but if you have a carrier that supports millimeter wave, it's just something different to note that they've put it on the top this time with that redesigned antenna that goes around the camera plateau. So that's something they're calling the bump. They're renaming it to the plateau, and that's where they house things such as the chipset and then camera sensors. Apple introduced their all-new N1 Wi-Fi modem, and we've noted that it has Wi-Fi 7, but Bluetooth gets a bump up this time from 5.3 to Bluetooth 6. So that's something they're including with the new N1 modem and something that's a little bit different. Now, something that I can't wait to get my hands on and was hoping it would be on the iPhone 16 models is something MacRumors discovered. There's actually an option in accessibility on the iPhone 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max models to disable PWM or pulse width modulation. It's the way the phone controls brightness. It basically flickers faster or slower, and that can cause people like myself to feel nauseated, have eye strain, or give myself a headache just looking at the display. So typically I have to keep the brightness up. That gets rid of it. It's been pretty good on the Pro models for the past couple of years, but now we'll be able to disable it. In fact, according to MacRumors, the actual note says, disable pulse width modulation to provide a different way to dim the OLED display, which can create a smoother display output at low brightness levels. Disabling PWM may affect low brightness display performance under certain conditions. So that's something I can't wait to test out. Hopefully it's on all iPhone 17 models. Now, as suspected and rumored before the event, the battery life is actually going to be better on the phones without physical SIM card trays. So in the United States, where we have an eSIM, we actually get an advantage with that with a few extra hours or a couple extra hours of battery life. The battery life has been confirmed thanks to the EU website showing the battery life capacities or the battery capacities. And for the iPhone 17, it comes in at 3,692 milliamp hours. The iPhone Air is at 3,149 milliamp hours. iPhone 17 Pro, 4,252 milliamp hours. And iPhone 17 Pro Max at 5,088 milliamp hours. So we definitely should get some great battery life, at least out of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, depending on how you use it. One thing Apple didn't mention about the new Apple Watches they introduced with the Apple Watch Series 11 and Apple Watch Ultra 3 is that they haven't really changed the chipset, at least in the Series 11. The Series 11 still has the S10 chipset. We do get an upgrade with the Apple Watch Ultra 3 from the previous generation, but again, just to the same chip that they used with the Series 10. So that's something that they've upgraded, and they haven't changed really for the Series 11, but we do get better battery life. Apple introduced AirPods Pro 3 at the Apple event with some nice new features as far as overall comfort, improved battery life. However, one thing they didn't mention is that the actual MagSafe charging case features the U2 chipset. This should help with locating it, maybe finding it a little bit easier if you're using the ultra-wideband chip in your iPhone to locate it. So we'll have to test that out once they're released, but that's something that's actually new that they didn't mention. The AirPods Live Translation that they announced is actually a feature that will work on older AirPods as well. It will require a firmware update, but AirPods Pro 2, AirPods 4, and AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation will now support live translation once it's available. So I would expect a firmware update soon, and you can see charge to full now. So you have that option here that popped up, and that's going to be available with live translation as well. Also, another thing they didn't mention is with the new Apple Watches, they showed off the new hypertension monitoring, where it will monitor your blood pressure over about 30 days and let you know if it actually senses something that's out of the ordinary. So you can see it here, hypertension, and that was sort of a new feature that they showed off with the Series 11 Apple Watches. However, this will be working on older Apple Watches as well. So Series 9, Series 10, and Apple Watch Ultra 2 will also benefit from this update. So you don't need to run out and buy a new watch in order to experience this feature. And again, it's with iOS 26 and watchOS 26. Apple also introduced many new accessories for the new iPhones at the Apple event. One of them is the new iPhone Air MagSafe Battery. It comes in at $99, but the odd thing about it is it only works on the iPhone Air. Technically, you could use the USB-C port in the bottom to charge another phone, but via MagSafe, supposedly it will only work on the Air. Maybe the overall magnets are offset compared to the other models, but again, we'll have to try this out once we get our hands on it. So those are 17 or more details that Apple left out, and hopefully these helped you maybe make a better decision as to which iPhone you're going to pick up, if you're going to pick up an Apple Watch, AirPods Pro 3, or anything else. Let me know what you're picking up in the comments below, and of course I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.